Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 mod review, and today we're checking out a very special weapon mod known as the NZ41 Automatic Rifle by Cadavver. Now, as promised yesterday, I did want to give this weapon a full breakdown since we did mention it on Mods Weekly, but there's just so much content in this mod that I wanted to give it its own little spotlight so we could check out absolutely everything covered in here. Now, the NZ41 is the name given to this weapon in Call of Duty Vanguard. However, the real weapon is known as the Charlton Automatic Rifle, which is essentially a full auto conversion for the Lee Enfield bolt action rifle, which is absolutely insane. If you really squint your eyes and look hard enough, you can see the Lee Enfield underneath all of this stuff, but there's a ton of mechanisms and a bunch of metal thrown on top of this thing in order to convert it into a full auto weapon. Something that seems a bit unnecessary since you can just get a full auto weapon, but regardless, this is really cool, and honestly, it's a weapon that fits Fallout very well. Maybe the only weapon a raider could get their hands on was a Lee Enfield for whatever reason, and they wanted it to spit out much more lead than its default configuration. This seems like a pretty good answer to that problem, and honestly, it just looks awesome. This weapon is of course going to come complete with all of the bells and whistles, including custom animations, a ton of really cool attachments, and a bunch of optional features that you can find in the optional files of the mod page, including see-through scope support, tactical reload support, side aim framework support, which allows for canted sights, and leveled list integration. By default, this weapon is crafted at the chemistry station, but if you download the leveled list patch, it will start spawning in the world on gunners, raiders, and triggermen after level 20, which is a pretty good level for this weapon, as I think it's pretty powerful. Interesting to include triggermen on this list, but not somebody like the Minutemen, as I feel like this weapon fits the Minutemen very well, but that's easy to fix with a tiny little X-edit tweak. Now, I think that's pretty much all of the basics for this weapon. Let's go ahead and take this thing in-game, check out its stats and all of its other really cool features. So here we have the NZ41 in-game in its default configuration with no attachments and no perks. Taking a look at the stat block, this thing has a base damage of 52, it uses 308 rounds, has a fire rate of 40, a range of 251, an accuracy of 79, a weight of 6.7 pounds, and a value of a whopping 1,988 caps. Given that this thing is craftable at the chemistry station, I feel like that value might be a bit high, and there's even a leveled list patch for this thing, but it's just kind of one of those things. It's pretty high, you could sell these a lot, but you're probably going to want to keep this for yourself, so it's not that big of a deal. I'd rather that be the most overpowered stat than, say, the damage or fire rate. Now, as for how this thing looks, as you can see, there is a Lee Enfield hidden somewhere inside of this weapon, but there's just a lot going on top of that. You can see all of the internal mechanisms here, the newly added reciprocating bolt. This thing is crazy. The one thing that even gives this away as a Lee Enfield is the magazine, and that's something you can get rid of at the weapons workbench, which is pretty interesting. Now, when it comes to crafting this thing, simply head over to your nearest chemistry station and find the new category known as Weapons-NZ41. From there, you can craft this weapon using 8 adhesive, 6 aluminum, 8 screws, 8 spring, 10 steel, and 5 wood, and it's going to require gun nut rank 2. Now, that's a good bit of raw materials, but honestly, it's not that much for nearly 2,000 caps of value, so like I said, the value is the only issue that I have with the stat block on this weapon. Now then, in terms of animations, this weapon does come with a full suite of custom animations. Here is the equipping animation, and of course firing and reloading. And of course you do get custom sprinting, as well as a grenade throwing animation. Now then, when it comes to attachments over at the weapons workbench, you can do a lot of fun stuff with this weapon. Some really cool cosmetic changes to be had, and some really cool functional changes as well. Starting off with the receiver section, we have the standard allotment you'd expect, from standard all the way up to advanced, giving you a maximum semi-automatic damage of 91, and an automatic powerful with a maximum automatic damage of 59. For our bonus attachments, we do have the option to throw on a bipod, a bayonet, a flashlight, or a laser sight, and that laser sight just so happens to be my little laser sight mesh from the handmade lever action shotgun. Looking at this thing on such a nice model makes me think I really need to update this mesh, which I'll probably do for the attachment pack. For magazines, we have the standard mag, we have the 308 British 20 round mag, the 5.56 Klauser 30-round mag, and the 5mm Sakura 45-round mag. Each of these is going to give you less damage, but more bullets in the magazine. So you pick and choose whether you want to be more accurate with more damage, or less accurate but able to sling out a lot more lead. For sights, we have the standard iron sights. We have the Mark III reflector sight, which is an interesting little reflex design. We have the Nidar Model 47, the hybrid flip Nidar, the Mark III Mod 2 sun filter, which is an interesting little hollow scope design, the Slate 3.25 custom, which is going to have a 3.25 scope with a little canted sight there that can be used with the side aim framework. We have the ZF4 3.5 times rifle scope, the ZF4 3.5 times in see-through scopes. So if you have the see-through scope patch, this works. As you can see, there is a little bit of a missing texture issue, but I'm sure that has either already been patched out or it will be patched out very soon. We have the Type 99 10 times telescopic in regular and see-through scopes, and the Mark 12 night vision, again in regular and also see-through scopes. For stocks, we have the standard stock, the Orb Weaver folding stock, which looks really cool, giving this thing an all metal look, the Orb Weaver Elite, the Ravenwood Padded, the LOR Reinforced, the Orb Weaver E-Pack, and the LOR Mark III SC, which has a really, really cool looking stock. I actually like this one a lot with that little monopod back there. For foregrip, we have the option for no foregrip, the Mark VI Skeletal, which is literally just some bent up sheet metal there, which looks pretty cool. We have the SMLE Pistol Grip, and then the M1930 Strife Angled, which is essentially a Tommy gun foregrip. Pretty cool. For barrels, we have the standard NZ41 barrel, the LOR Mark I, the Orb Weaver Custom, the Orb Weaver 360mm, and the Ravenwood 480mm. For muzzles, we have the standard muzzle, a compensator, a muzzle brake, and a silencer. We do have the option to change out the sprint animation from regular to tactical. And then there is a damage modifier section from negative 100% all the way up to positive 100%. The negative 100% with the base receiver is going to give you 2 damage. So I don't see why anybody would ever need to use this in their game, but that is an option there for whatever reason. But what's interesting is we're getting 2 damage off of the stock damage. If we, say, take this magazine here and take it down to 5mm, and then we throw on the damage modifier of negative 100, we end up with 65,518 damage. I'm guessing that is not as intended, so that's probably another thing that will be patched out very soon after this video is released. Alright, now then it is of course time for the damage test, and we'll be running 4 tests, and I think they're going to be pretty fun today. We'll be using the standard version of the weapon, a fully upgraded full auto with no modifiers and no perks, a fully upgraded semi-auto with no modifiers and no perks. These will just give you a good idea of how the weapon will function in the early and late game, depending on your playstyle, but then this last one here is going to be using that little damage bug I found, using a negative 100% modifier in full auto with an extended mag, which gives this thing a damage of 65,500, which is odd. And I just want to see if it actually works that way, because Fallout is weird. Anyways, starting with the regular version of the weapon in semi-automatic small mags with basic damage, let's see how it does. Oh yeah, I do have the sniper perk on, as it was required to craft some of the parts. All that's going to do is knock him down a little bit. Or a lot of bit. I really didn't feel like fighting it. He's waving at us. Neat. Anyways, that performed decent. We didn't even have to reload. Let's see how we do in full auto. As to be expected, much better, putting down the Deathclaw in only 7 shots. That's pretty decent. And again, this has no perks and no damage modifiers. If you were to max out your commando perk and throw on the 100% damage modifier, this thing could be slinging out some serious damage. Let's see how we do with a fully upgraded semi-auto version of the weapon. Interestingly enough, more bullets than the last one. Weird, not really how that's supposed to work. But let's see how we do with our Abomination that uses full auto with 65,000 damage. Yeah, kind of what I expected. Damage bug aside, this weapon is a whole lot of fun, and it is really, really cool. Like I said before in the beginning of this video, this thing just screams Fallout. I absolutely love the aesthetic of it, and I can't wait to see more Vanguard weapons make their way over to the Fallout modding scene. With that, if you want to try out this mod, it will be linked down in the description below. Currently, it is only on PC, though. I expect there may be a port to Xbox sometime soon. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to drop a rating. Consider subscribing for more videos just like this. Big shout out to all my patrons for supporting every single video. And a very special thank you to Astro, Captain Chaos, Helljumper, Indecisive Wolf, Jackie Noid, Cushy, Moonlit Gamer Feed, and Youth RC for joining that Tier 3 Patreon membership. If you want to support the channel on Patreon, it will be linked down in the description below, but it is completely optional. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace!